Say, man, I want to welcome you to the brand new show, Dirty Politrikz. I got my man Chuck Maul in the building. Donovan Sadiq is on the way, and I'm the 5-star general. If you want to learn what these dirty politicians are doing, all you got to do is just sit here for a second, and we're going to lace you to the game. Let's get to it, man. Say, I want to welcome y'all to Dirty Politrikz, and we about to get started. Say, man, I want to thank y'all for taking the time out to tune in today. You know, it's a brand new show, Dirty Politrikz, and we're going to run this show all the way up to election time so we can get you abreast of who you need to be keeping your eyes on with some of the things that they're doing. And as far as you politicians out there, you know we got our eyes on you too. So you might want to tighten your game up because we on top of you. I got my man Chuck Maul in the building. Donovan Sadiq is on the way. Got caught up in some traffic, but that's okay because we're going to get started and we're going to do what we do. And I can tell you this here starting next week, we're going to be doing Dirty Politrikz on Wednesday nights. It's going to take the place of the war zone. So we going to definitely boost this audience up so that we can get down to it. Chuck, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, man, doing good. I appreciate you letting me be here.
Hey, not a problem, not a problem. Hold on just a second. Oh, yeah. Man, it's a blessing to have you here doing the work that you do behind the scenes so that we can stay abreast of what's really going on. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. On this show, you might run into your favorite politician, but if they dirty, they dirty. It's totally up to you at that point if you want to keep electing people with checkered past, if that's what you choose to do. Now, last week, we started off with the first show, and I think we did pretty good. We got your attention. And this week, we're talking about the EVELYN factor, EVELYN DUPREE. EVELYN DUPREE. Now, all you politicians, you sitting out there, are you cringing? Especially if you hired her. You hired her in her company, AB Canvassing. Are you cringing? I need you to. Because we have been watching and watching and watching. And not only have we been watching and watching and watching, we've been compiling the evidence. So this is a fact-based show. Everything we got is public record. You can find it just like we found it. But the thing is, sometimes you don't know where to look. Well, Chuck knows where to look. Chuck can find anything. So today we're going to talk about EVELYN DUPREE. Give us a little background on EVELYN DUPREE, Chuck.
Yeah, so EVELYN DUPREE is a ballot harvester, which she was one of the main people I was told about when informants were telling me about what was going on with the illegal ballot harvesting. Now, there's a company she owns called AB Canvassing. And in the Harris County Clerk's office, you can pull the assumed name for AB Canvassing, and it comes back to Lawrence Lee Dupree at her address. So I looked up who Lawrence Dupree is, and that's her husband. Now, she has a son named Lawrence Dupree as well, but the address for the business is her house, her and her husband's house. She shows up on, or AB Canvassing, a lot of the people that work for her show up on numerous campaigns. Okay. And what's interesting is a lot of the people that work for her are felons, convicted felons. Now, I'm not saying people don't need a second chance, but it seems like she kind of surrounds herself with people that probably are used to keeping quiet on anything dirty that goes on. So that's the short and narrow related to her. We can start with, let's start with this. So some of the people that have used her for her campaign are Sean Nicole Theory, Rabia Sultan Collier, Thea Bell, Wanda Adams, Ann Bennett, Sharon Burney, and most notably, Sheila Jackson Lee. Sheila Jackson Lee seems to be the main one that uses her. I think your mic's out.
So we're talking about a ballot harvester that runs a company that's worked for several, especially African-American prominent politicians in the city of Houston, as well as one that's nationally known, which is the Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. And this is verifiable, am I correct?
Yeah, and you know, I don't think race really is it, as she's got several Democrats. I mean, it's mainly Democrats that use her. But it seems like the people that use her win. Well, there's a reason they win.
You know where I get a little confused at is in the political game, your reputation is one of the most important things that you have to protect. And as a politician, you normally wouldn't surround yourself with people that have what would I call it? Subjective past or resumes. You know, basically, if you've been labeled some type of criminal or somebody that's involved with illegal activity, normally politicians shy away from you. You know, they won't do business with you. And I know in the last election, there were several judges that were affiliated with candidates, you know, some sitting judges, some candidates that were affiliated with A.B. Canvassing. And during the course of your investigation, they had to mysteriously fire A.B. Canvassing. And I know that to be a fact because I had poll workers who were calling me that hadn't gotten paid. So I had to work with some of these people to make sure that their people, that these good people that stood at polls and did work, got their money. So it's not like, you know, people don't know who these people are, especially if you're in the game, you actually know who they are. And it's a lot of them that had to fire these poll workers because of the affiliation to A.B. Canvassing. So as I was riding around the polls, I'm talking about, I normally see at certain polls, say like at Sunnyside Multipurpose Center, you normally see 15, 20 poll workers out there on, you know, doing early voting. And on election day I've been on that block on election day where it was 20 to 30.
Yeah, some of us checked out Hiram Clark, and there wasn't any at Hiram Clark after this scandal.
So that tells me that her reach was long as far as having people to work for these people. But I mean, poll working, you know, to be a ballot harvester, you know, poll working is a little bit different because you're just out there passing out the cards to the voters, you know. But when we're talking about ballot harvesting, we're talking about something that happens before the fact, you know. But to say that you're going to these polls and these people don't have any poll workers because they had to fire all these people because they were A.B. Canvassing, that was really a mind-blowing thing to me. I've never seen an election run without poll workers.
Well, the reason that these criminal groups do poll working is along with the ballot harvesting, the illegal stuff. Okay, if you're going to have to pay them out of your campaign, you don't want to get busted paying somebody $10,000 to do criminal work. You want plausible deniability that, hey, they were just working the poll, handing out push cards. I didn't know anything about all this. Okay.
But you're
so in other words, that's why they do legal stuff with illegal stuff, is because it's a layer of protection.
Now, some people that have poll workers actually have them fill out W-9s. They do it the right way, you know, and they pay them. Most of them get paid in cash or through Cash App, but they do fill out W-9s because I worked for a couple where I filled out a W-9 and I had to file taxes on the money that they paid me, which is the right way to do it. You see, which is the right way to do it. And I will say that you know, I worked for Dallas Jones and I had to do a W-9. So
Yeah.
He paid me. I did my W-9. I filed my taxes, and it shows up, in my tax file. But I found something strange, digging around. You find something strange, man, and I happened to run up on a bankruptcy that was filed by EVELYN Dupree.
Yep.
And if I get this wrong, Chuck, tell me I got it wrong, because I don't want to slander anybody or anything like that. Inside of the bankruptcy, you have to file all of your income. Am I correct? You have to file your income.
Correct.
I noticed something that was missing. There is no income or mention of it of AB canvassing.
No.
Could you elaborate on that for me, my friend?
Yeah. So the only thing she says income wise is Social Security. So she says, and I think it was $1,200 or $2,100. It's either $1,200 or $2,100 is all she makes every month, and it's just Social Security. Her husband makes Social Security and some veterans pay. Okay, but that's the only income that was listed for her and her husband. All right, that bankruptcy is still going on today. It started in 2018. It's still going on. So she filed a voluntary form where she filled out how much money she has to be able to pay these creditors. Okay, and so there's even more interesting twist beyond that, but we'll start there and then I'll tell you some more.
Well, let's start right there, because after doing my research, I major in law, so I'm always digging and trying to find out different things and researching the law as I'm going through school. And I researched, making sure that you put all of your income into your bankruptcy. And by not doing that, we know AB canvassing exists. I know it exists because I worked for it one time.
Well, and what I know too from two different witnesses is that Valerie or EVELYN Dupree, she would come and she would get like $10,000 cash out or $20,000 cash out, so she could pay the poll workers, the ballot harvesters, cash. Okay, so she didn't have to file for some of these. All right, so she's paying out all this cash, and you're telling me she didn't collect any of this cash herself? She's paying out $5,000, $2,000, $3,000 cash. No.
Well, here's the problem, and maybe you can elaborate on that too, because during the course of my research, I found out that is illegal, not to disclose all of your income inside of your bankruptcy. That is actually a felony in the state of Texas. As a matter of fact, a federal felony. So I know you people out there that plan on maybe hiring her behind the scenes this year for the election. Say, man, you finna get caught up right along with her. Because guess what I'm going to do, Chuck? I'm going to file a complaint with the IRS for her not disclosing her income inside of her bankruptcy.
Well, you don't even have to go that far. You can go to the bankruptcy court where she's currently at.
Well, I will definitely do that. And I know that'll lead straight to the IRS and to the feds, and then they'll deal with it on a legal level for violating the law as it pertains to that. So, I know that she paid me in cash. I never had a problem getting my money from her. Like some poll workers complain constantly that she wasn't paying them or that she cut their money, different things like that. And I want you politicians to understand something, that these good people that work at the polls, some of them, that's their only income. That's all they can live off of some days when they out there doing that poll work. And you got these companies that are employing these people, but yet don't pay them. Don't bring them lunch. Now, I was blessed to buy my own lunch some days, but, don't bring them lunch. Have them sitting out there in the hot sun. Don't want them to sit down. And the whole time, this person that's running this company from a legal standpoint, not paying taxes on the money because you're acting like this company does not exist and you're not making money, which is a lie, because political consulting is what it is. That's what they call it, political consulting. You're not going to run a consulting company and not make money for yourself. And if you're not making money for yourself, then why are you even running this company? But we know you made money, Evelyn. So bottom line is you did not disclose it, and 5 Star finna have some fun talking to the bankruptcy court.
Yeah. So I didn't find the company listed at all on the bankruptcy. So
not at all.
And it's her and her husband that are listed. In the bankruptcy. So she can't pawn it off and say, well, that's my husband's company.
Now, I know
she might try and throw her son under the bus, and say it's his company, but it's her address.
Well, I've never done business with her son. I've always done business with her.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, her son would be out at the polls with me working, doing the same thing that I was doing.
Yeah.
And the person that was running the company was Evelyn Dupree. So the thing is we have one thing, y'all, we want to do is we want to be factual. We want to be factual. So, I can split this screen at any moment to put up documentation to prove what we are saying. And anytime you get ready, Chuck, for me to split the screen so we can verify that this company exists, I'd be glad to do it.
Yeah, it's on those pictures that I sent you. It started at the far end, not where you started earlier. Yeah.
Okay, let's go through. Let's go through. Started on the far end, so I'm on the far end.
No, the other end. So let's go to
the other end.
There you go. So that right there, that's the. Let me pull my stuff up. So that's the assumed name application with the Harris County Clerk. All right. Which you've got right there, and it shows that it's a AB Canvas. So, and it's at the Canterway Drive address, and the person listed as the owner is Lawrence Lee Dupree II. Now, her husband goes by the second sometimes. Her son goes by the second sometimes. I don't know. They'll have to explain that, but it's her address.
So the thing is like I said, I've never done business with her son. I've never had to talk to her son. I've always talked to her. If she wanted to hire me, she would talk to me. And it was her. It wasn't her son. So we know that this putting it under his name, the feds know how to get around that too. They know how to get around that too. So I'm at that first picture. You want me to go to the next picture?
The next one's just the same thing, I think a little bit darker.
Okay. Yes.
The picture after that, it just shows that I verified that they were married, her and her husband. And then the picture after that, let's see, that shows AB Canvassing listed for a bunch of different candidates. Okay.
Now I can't enlarge this picture, but I see Sean Theory on here.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca Salton, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see Leonard Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's on that picture. You want me to go to the next picture?
Yeah, go to the next one.
Okay.
Okay, that right there. Look at the name that I highlighted at the top, or that I pointed to at the top.
So Sheila Jackson Lee definitely paid AB Canvassing, which is a known ballot harvesting company, to work for her.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And this is in the 2018 election.
Yeah. And so basically Gerald Womack was, funneling money to AB Canvassing, and that's where a lot of that cash was coming from. Now, my understanding, I believe, is that he was writing checks, but maybe he wasn't writing checks, but he was financing it. A lot of that cash that was going out.
So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna work on, I have surgery Monday, so I'm gonna work on this tomorrow. I'm gonna see if I can find me some tax returns for AB Canvassing. No matter who name is in, to find these tax returns. And I hope you paid your taxes, because if you didn't, you're gonna be like Al Capone, because they didn't get him for murder and bootlegging. They got him for tax evasion. They got him for tax evasion. Okay, so we're at that picture. If you want, I can go to the next
Go on
picture.
to the next one.
All right.
All right. So this is Sharon Burney's campaign. So you'll see some of the people. Like the first person listed there is Alex Fears with AB Canvassing. So in other words, he puts down there, he's supposed to put his address, like where he lives. He doesn't put his address. He just puts AB Canvassing. It says poll worker. Okay. So then you go down, Renner Edwards, and the address is AB Canvassing. Ellen Percy, address is AB Canvassing. Go to the next one. Isa Washington, AB Canvassing, poll worker. Then you got Barbara Helms. Holmes. AB Canvassing is the address listed for that poll worker. Then you got Ladariak Berry, AB Canvassing is listed as the address. You can go to the next one. It's got Damon Geinton, AB Canvassing. You've got Kirsten Dorsey, AB Canvassing. Then you've got Evelyn Dupree. Finally, her name pops up on there, and okay, she lists her address as AB Canvassing as well. So
okay, so let me ask you a question. Even if they try to say that the company is not in her name, right? She herself shows up on this political expenditures report, and she didn't report that in the bankruptcy. Am I correct?
No. Because her bankruptcy, that's a good point, because her bankruptcy started in 2018, and this is 3/13/2018. So she didn't list this the same year she's filing for her bankruptcy.
So there's plenty more that she didn't list, probably.
Oh man, there's tons more.
There's plenty more that she didn't list, probably. Let me go back to your pictures. And you say that she's hiring convicted felons. Would that be these next set of pictures? Yeah.
So the next pictures go through, and I'll show you. That is Ladariak Berry, criminal record. The next one is, and maybe I'm saying his first name wrong, but it's Kirsten Dorsey, criminal record. And then the next one is Alexander Fears, big criminal record. So I just put some of them up there because, I mean, she's got all these criminals. I should say criminals, people that have criminal records. Whether or not they've, changed and became a better person, that's on them. But if you're running a political campaign working for people, politicians that are going to hold office, positions of judge, Sheila Jackson Lee in Congress, powerful people, and you're employing all these people that have all these big time criminal records. I don't see how anybody gets away with that. But then again, if you want to do crooked work, you don't want to be around Boy Scouts. You want to be around people that are that in the past have proven they'll keep quiet on certain things.
Okay, I agree with you, bro. Because as I'm running for office, it's not hard for me to do. For me, it's like a walk in the park. If you're doing things the right way, you never have to worry about if folks is digging off in your business and if you're trying to get into politics, But the one thing that you have to safety valve is the type of people that you hire. Now, I feel bad for these people because, some of them just out there just making money doing the job that they're paid to do, but sometimes they have no clue who they're working for. But I know selective amnesia in this game exists because people like Sheila Jackson Lee will say, I don't know nothing about these people. Well, you may not know nothing about these people, but you definitely know about AB Canvassing and the reputation of AB Canvassing and the things that they're known to do. One of the people that I spoke with in the past with AB Canvassing flat out told me that they could do early ballots at least 200-300 a day and never leave their house. What you
Yeah.
mean you can do 200-300 a day and never leave your house?
I mean, first off, it's illegal for them to do that many legal absentee ballots, much less it being fake ballots of people that didn't fill the form out and they're filling them out. I mean, so they're huge conspiracy. Okay. And then as far as Sheila Jackson Lee, this is just EVELYN Dupree. She did work with Gloria Palmer, and she had felons for her campaign. She would have people convicted of forgery go pick up, and at the time they would only let you get 50 applications for absentee ballot. So she had a bunch of people that are convicted for forgery picking up 50 at a time applications for absentee ballot. Tell me that's legit. I mean, it's like, hey, I'm going to hire pickpockets to be security and work the venue, and then all these people's wallets disappear. And you say, well, I don't know what happened.
Wow. Wow. All right, you want me to go to your next picture? So
yeah, let's see what the next one is. I forget what it is. All right, so that's related to the bankruptcy. So that shows EVELYN Dupree and her bankruptcy. Okay, and you can go to the next one. Let's see what the next one is. Oh, okay, so this is where it gets interesting. So EVELYN Dupree and her husband have a really nice bankruptcy law firm working for them. And I looked to see if they were appointed or something. I don't know that you can have an appointed bankruptcy attorney, but I looked through the docket and I couldn't see where they were appointed. So there's this law firm that's called Tran Singh that is representing her and her husband in this bankruptcy. So I was looking into that law firm, and I see that Singh is Brendan Singh, who went to TSU and went to law school, and he ran for HCC position on HCC on the board.
Okay.
So why is his law firm, helping out somebody that doesn't make any money? Because according to EVELYN, she doesn't make any money. So how is she paying for this expensive law firm? Okay, I would suspect it's a favor. Okay, because Brendan Singh is big in the Democratic Party, or at least helps out. I wouldn't say big, but helps out. Knows Turner. Okay, so I suspect this is a favor. Okay, so this is a favor to help her out. Well, guess what? Brendan got screwed on that favor, because the same year that his law firm's doing this favor, which is still going on. I mean, this ain't no cheap favor. It's still going on, the bankruptcy. Well, guess what? He was running for HCC board position, like I mentioned, and he got screwed in the first round of voting. And he got screwed. He got beat by Rhonda Skillern Jones, okay, who eventually went on to win it. She killed it in the numbers. She killed it. She kicked the shit out of everybody else in the numbers. Well, that same year, 2018, when all this was going on, this election deal was going on, guess who was at the 65th birthday party for Rodney Ellis?
Who?
It would be Rhonda Skillern Jones.
Wow.
So Ellis doesn't mind, favors being done with the promise that it's going to help you out, maybe in an election or something, and then all of a sudden get screwed by the candidate that's already been preordained for that position. So,
wow.
I mean, in other words, a lot of times people think this is a deal where they say, well, this is Republican, Democrat. No, this is criminals screwing everybody. They're screwing Democrats. They're screwing Republicans. You know what I mean? Don't take no pride in, well, the Democrats are winning. No, it's the selected Democrats that are winning. So they have no problem screwing their own people, the people that are Democrats that are in their own area.
So you telling me that, say, for instance, I go out and I get me a political consultant, right? Say I go get EVELYN DUPREE. Okay, you're supposed to be working for me to help me win. But behind the scenes, you working with my opponent. So you get
behind the scenes. Think of it like this: behind the scenes, she does what she's told.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Monroe ain't going to win this section, so don't give him a lot of the votes. Give him the side stuff. Okay, don't help him out. Do the regular stuff for him. But the cheap votes, give those to the candidate I want to win. That's what happens. So Ellis decides, Boris Miles decides. They decide who's going to get the cheap votes and who's going to win.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Hold on a second. Now, we're talking about EVELYN DUPREE for a second. I want to switch gears, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
I want to switch gears. I don't want nobody to feel like we left them out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the other night I was talking about something that was very passionate, and you called me and you gave me some advice. We were talking about crime in the city, right? Mm-hmm. Crime in the city, right? And the thing is, when I started thinking about the crime in the city, I say, well, man, let me go look at something. So I decided to go and look at some things, and I came across, I wanted to find out who really getting the money. You feel me, Chuck? Mm-hmm. I wanted to find out who's really getting the money.
Yeah.
You know, why is crime the way that it is? And every time we go to city council, you know, they either lie and say they're going to try to help, or they don't do anything. So I'm like, everybody complaining about the police union. So I go and I dig off into the police union. And I wanted to see who they gave money to. So I come up on this site. I ain't going to say where the site at. I mean, it's public. You just got to know how to dig for this stuff. And I wanted to find out who the police union gave money to. All right. So I started digging, and I came across this interactive map. Mm-hmm. Now, you can't really see this, you know, because let me see if I can make it bigger, Chuck. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Okay. No, it won't make it any bigger. So then I started thinking, well, everybody say that these politicians are getting money from this organization, that organization. Now, the police union has a political PAC. Okay, so they can give money to who they want. That's their prerogative. But I want y'all to understand that when you standing in city council, you complaining about crime. How can you complain? And if you can you see my little thing circling around here? Mm-hmm. I want to know how you can complain to city council when every single city council member is on this interactive map for getting money from the police union. Now, on top of that, you have state representatives in here getting money from the police union too. And you even got the mayor getting money from the police union. Hold on a second, y'all. That means that the people that say they're going to help us with crime, especially if we're shot wrongfully by the police, say like Dennis Tuttle and Regina Nichols, because I don't want people to feel that this is just a black issue. Regina Nichols and Dennis Tuttle were good white people that had nothing going on Hardy Street. Why is it taking so long for that case to get to court? Because the people that could push the buttons, they all getting money from the police union, who's fighting for this not to go into the courtroom. Now, we're going to set you up because we ain't going to give you everything. Now that means that you have some prominent African-American politicians who are getting money, and I'm gonna say it, not Chuck, that are getting money, quote, from the enemy. You playing us. You playing us. You're getting money from the enemy. So it's not something that we're making up. This is on the police union's website. This is who they gave money to. All of these people. Now, to make sure that we don't leave nobody out, the red dots represent Republicans. So they're getting money from Democrats. They're giving money to Democrats and Republicans.
And this is where we'll, and Gary, respectfully, this is where we'll disagree a little bit. Like, I understand what you're saying on that end, but I have family members in law enforcement. I was in law enforcement. The people on the street, the people, the day-to-day FBI agents, the day-to-day police officers, they work hard and they're doing what's right. It's when you go to headquarters and management that you have issues. In other words, you look at that issue that you were talking about earlier, that shooting there. Who's the only people that take the fall for this? The people on the street. Nobody at the top ranks ever takes the fall for this. In Minneapolis, nobody at the top ranks takes the fall for anything that happens. Only the people on the streets, the ones that take the fall.
No, and I get it. Trust me, I get it. So the thing is I'm just trying to connect the dots, especially in the African-American community, where we go and we talk and we pour our hearts out to these politicians. Look, man, we got issues with the police department, with the racial profiling. We got issues with the police department, wrongfully, detaining people, murdering people, like the tunnels. But the people that we talking to, they're saying, well, we're going to do something about this. And we have a problem with this too. But you can't have a big problem if you taking money from the police union who fighting for they fighting for all cops. But say, for instance, they're fighting for Gerald Goins. You see what I'm saying? And we know Goins was as dirty as they came. But hold on, you getting money from them? That's where it struck me as odd.
Well, it shows where when they're before the camera, it's theater. Say what you think you need to say to get elected. In other words, I don't agree with being anti-police, but if that's your platform, that's what you're running with, then be it. Don't bullshit about it and then take money behind the scenes. And that's what I think you're saying is, here are all these people saying that they got an issue with this, but behind the scenes, they'll take money. Because at the end of the day, it's all about power. It's not about doing what's right.
No, exactly. Stop bullshitting people. Now, me, honestly, I wouldn't take money from the police union because some days they represent dirty cops. Some days they actually fight for good cops. They got good cops that they try to mess over, and that police union goes to war and they fight for them. I respect that. But it's the dirty ones. But the thing is, the people that we talking to, if I come to you and you my council representation, Chuck, look, we got this problem, man. I need you to shine a light on it and advocate so we can fix this. The whole time I'm talking to you, you already know you're not going to fix it because of where you get your money from. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're not going to fix it because of where you get your money from.
Yeah.
But the police union also has to have lobbyists. They go down to Austin and they lobby. They do what they do. Next week, we going to shock y'all because we know which ones of y'all are lobbying for the police union. So here's my thing, because I know some people get a little nervous. I'm digging off into something, man. And a lot of people like, Monroe, you need to be careful. And, they tried, and we really believe they tried to set you up to get you hurt or murdered, Chuck. And my thing is, and I'm telling y'all, I ain't the dude. And, if anything happened to me, we already know where it came from. But some of you lobbyists that are in our community saying you fighting for black people, man, you're getting a whole lot of money. And guess what? Even if you try to wipe the site clean, we already got the numbers on what some of y'all are being paid. And the crazy part is you double dipping again. You get money from both sides of the house, but every day you scream the Republicans are the devil. But some of you supposedly Democratic representation lobbyists and all you people, the numbers don't lie, because it ties you from a Democratic standpoint to the Republican side of the bank account. And I don't want to hit that until next week. But tonight we're talking about Evelyn and the impact. Let's talk about the impact of what this one company has done to the black communities in the city of Houston. Now, me being an African-American taxpayer, when I look at it and they decide, okay, we're going to put this person in office, we're going to put that person in office, let's hire A.B. Canvas, and they know how the game go, they're going to do what they do. Do you understand what you have done to our communities? And that's why it's so easy for them to say, well, this community is underserved. Now, it's purposely been underserved. And the people that are sitting in office that have been benefactors of the early voting game, you see what I'm saying? You are the reason that our crime rate is up. You are the reason that our schools are failing. You are the reason that our communities look, they look like war zones. Everything's tore up and messed up because you people took it upon yourself to decide what was best for our communities, and all it was about was money.
Well, and like I was mentioning last show, if you can get a 5 or 10% boost by illegal votes, you don't really have to work that hard to win your election. Because most elections, at the top, when you get to the final election, it's a 5% swing, 10% swing. So if you can cheat to get those votes, you don't really have to work that hard to make your constituents happy to show up at the polls. Because if they don't show up at the polls, you'll vote for them. And so, like I said last time, it's not all dead people voting. It's not all homeless people voting. A lot of times they're sending in absentee ballots. They're sending in absentee ballots for people that end up voting anyway. But guess what happens? If the ballot harvesters turn theirs in the first couple of days, they're the first one to show up. The second ballot that shows up is the one that gets trashed. How many ballots get trashed? Do we know that? We don't know that. So it's not just as simplistic as some people think. Say, well, there's not that many dead people that are voting. No, there's a lot of cheating goes on. This is a system they've been working on for a long time. And like I said last time, people will ask us, say, well, cheating went on 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Okay, cheating did go on 40 years ago, 50 years ago. 40 years ago, there was professional football. Wasn't as organized as it is now. Think about the team that was the championship team 30, 40 years ago compared to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. There's no comparison. The coaches are better. The systems are better. The players are better, faster, stronger. The equipment's better. The training's better. So the cheating that went on 20 or 30 years ago doesn't compare to the cheating that's going on now because they've upped the game. You get better every year if nobody does anything about it. If you're never arrested, you're never harassed about it, you just get better and better. You add another 5,000 votes every cycle to your cheating.
Now, when you say 5,000 votes, y'all need to understand something. That a lot of elections are they're over and done with when early voting numbers come in, when early ballot numbers come in, mail-in ballots and early ballots come in. 72% of the elections are over right there. It doesn't matter what comes in at the polls, because if they up by 30%, you can't come back for that. So all it takes is 3,000 to 4,000 ballots that have been played with to shift the whole election. In the election that I have to run in November, you can win this election with 4,000 votes. So if you just pump 1,000 early ballots through the gate, I'm behind the 8 ball. I'm behind the 8 ball. So what we're trying to do is level the playing field. You see what I'm saying? You know, let me make it equate to them in football terms. Man, we trying to make sure that ain't no balls been deflated before the game start. We trying to make sure ain't no cork bats on the baseball diamond. You know, for the last couple of weeks in baseball, they've been checking pitchers' gloves and, because they feel something's in the glove when they throwing the ball. We're trying to eliminate all of that, because good people that have ran for office have been dog walked in the mail-in ballot game. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It is what it is. They've been dog walked. I give you one, and I'm Maria T. Jackson race against Rodney Ellis really bothers me. It bothers me because of the way that the early ballots, she was done after the early ballots came in. And her name was the strongest his.
She got screwed big time.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You guys need to understand that some of y'all voted for some of these people and your ballot wasn't any good because somebody had already sent the ballot in for you.
Well, and what people need to realize too is a football analogy is say, well, I like the AFC or I like the NFC. Well, guess what? If one or two teams in the AFC win every time, the AFC is getting screwed too, not just the NFC. So if cheating's going on and we make sure that the AFC wins the Super Bowl every year, but only two teams are the ones that fluctuate back and forth of winning every year, it's not that the AFC is winning, it's those two teams are winning. In other words, it's not an AFC, NFC deal anymore. It's these two teams cheat constantly and screw everybody else.
Keep talking, Chuck. I'm looking for something.
But moving forward, there's going to be in July, there's going to be a special session, and there's going to be a voter integrity laws that get passed to close some of these gaps. And you're going to hear time and time again, oh, this is Jim Crow 2.0. This is suppressing the black vote, the minority vote. Like I said last time, I don't care if 100,000 new black people show up and vote, voters. I don't care. I just don't want two ballot harvesters voting for 100,000 people and deciding their votes. That's not suppressing the vote. That's suppressing crime.
Now, one of the big things when I went down there to testify in front of the committee that they kept beating up the game on was only 16 cases of voter fraud has happened. That's what they're saying. Now, I don't know if they're going to.
I don't even know they got 16 people that work for the AG's office on this section. I think they got one attorney that works this deal. So how many cases can those people work?
Well, I don't know if he's including the 16 that were just caught on June 23rd, 2021. Lady out of Victoria County, the grand jury returned an indictment against her on multiple counts of election fraud, 7 counts of illegal voting, 8 counts of unlawfully assisting voter ballot by mail, 8 counts of unlawful possession of a ballot, and 8 counts of election fraud, which is a state jail felony. So they ain't including that.
No. So 16 is not an accurate count. And then 2, like I'm saying, if you put one cop 8 hours for an 8-hour shift, that's it, on I-10, and you don't put any other cops on I-10, and you say, well, that cop only gets like 4 speeders a day. So I think only about 4 people speed on I-10 or Katy Freeway a day. Bullshit. You don't have the manpower to work all this. So therefore, you don't know how much crime is going on. So your numbers are skewed.
We're talking about voter fraud. And of course, in Texas, the big thing is SB 7. And people, they out and they screaming it's Jim Crow and it's all that. I think that it's not about Jim Crow. I think that it's not about voter suppression. It's about voter integrity. And the big thing that I get confused, Chuck, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, man. I'm 2 sandwiches short of a picnic, man. I'm 2 cans short of a 6-pack. So I'm not the smartest dude in the room. Why didn't, and I'm just asking your opinion because all we can give is our opinion. Why didn't the Democrats walk out on the gun bill, which they vehemently oppose? Mm-hmm. If they'd have walked out on the gun bill, then they'd have walked out on SB 7 and everything after that. Right. Why didn't they walk out on the gun bill? Because behind the scenes, you had already worked it out. Now you screaming that it's bad, but you screaming that knowing that you didn't cut the deal on the gun bill.
Well, the gun bill, it doesn't affect their power. So in other words, SB 7 will stop a lot of cheating. It's going to stop cheating in Harris County. It's going to stop cheating in Dallas County. It's going to Travis and Bexar County, where there's a lot of cheating going on. And when I say stop, I mean it has the potential to stop. People still have to go out there and find and catch these people doing this, but it ups the penalty for all these crimes that they're getting away with now, and it makes some things crimes that weren't before related to this.
Now, do you think they're screaming about these voter integrity? And I'm not calling it voter suppression. I'm calling it voter integrity. They're screaming about the voter integrity laws because they've upped the criminal penalties. And if they get caught, is that your perception of it? They don't want it because if they get caught now, we ain't got to worry about EVELYN Dupree because Sheila, you can go to jail.
Well, and also think about it like this. They're not saying that it screws, that these voter integrity laws screw white voters. So why are they saying that it screws minority voters? In other words, cannot minority voters do the same thing that white voters are doing? And when I say that, I mean like we've already got the ID law, but let's use that as an example. Why would you say that minority voters can't get an ID? I mean, in other words, who's the racist in this scenario? If you're saying that minorities can't do the same thing as white people in these elections to go vote, then you're the racist who thinks they can't do this, that they're not intelligent enough to get this done. I mean, it's bullshit.
I'm gonna tell you this. What I've not seen a poll worker harass a voter. I've not seen that. And remember, I've been at these polls for at least the last 8-9 years. I've not seen a poll worker harass a voter. Mm-hmm. I've not seen that. The thing is you don't want people watching you in the polls for a reason. Chuck, I'm gonna take you back for a second. I'm gonna see if your memory is good. You know, both of us getting a little old, but I think your memory is better than mine. I remember at the Northeast Multipurpose Center during the last election, that drive-through voting, there was a guy who was working the polls. Just so happens he was an off-duty police officer for Marcola. And he observed something that was strange. He observed them having multiple stacks of IDs sitting on a table. Now, if we are correct, when we go in to vote, they scan our ID, they give it back. That's what they've always done to me. They scan my ID right there, they give it back. So why would you have a stack of IDs, at least 30, sitting on the table? So I get the call that they done put this man out of the voting polls because he's questioning this. And as a poll worker, he had every right to question it. Not only did they put him out of the polls, they called the police on him. So here comes the sheriff, well, the constables from out in that area, come to the polls, make him leave. I get the call, I go to the polls. I ask for the presiding judge. And they was like, what you want the presiding judge for? I don't have to talk to you, I need the presiding judge. So as I'm sitting there, I'm watching them in the drive-through voting. I'm watching these people, 4 or 5 people to a car. And your vote is supposed to be sacred. When you go into the voting polls, you know it's covered. So nobody can see you standing next to you. But in a car, you got 4 or 5 people and nothing covers your vote and it's not sacred anymore. I'm watching people not have identification. But I'm watching a poll worker leave the drive-through voting area, go back into the building and come back out with IDs. Maybe that's from the stack of IDs that was sitting on the table. So guess what they did when I asked for the presiding judge? They called the police on me and wanted me to leave because I'm asking questions. So now you want to scream that people are harassing the voters. And while I was there, I never talked to a voter. I never harassed a voter. I only wanted to speak to the presiding judge. And the lady came out and had an attitude, and I asked her, what are you doing? Why do you have those IDs on the table? But before the young man, and I call him a young man, was asked to leave, the voter, what do we call him? The guy that was monitoring the polls.
Oh yeah, the poll watcher.
Before the poll watcher was asked to leave, he looked at the table where the IDs were, and they were mysteriously gone. They were mysteriously gone.
And that gentleman gave an affidavit, and the precinct 1 constable's office supposedly came out to investigate. Okay. I got an inside source that told me they shit canned it. So in other words, why were they not interested in this? Because the precinct 1 constable was running for this. The county clerk, the district clerk, and the DA were running for this election.
I apologize, Chuck. I'm looking up something for you real quick. Yeah, they were all running. You guys can hear me. Just bear with me. And nobody did anything about it. I'm looking up something for you real quick, Chuck.
Okay. And what people have to remember is the excuse that was given for this humongous stack of driver's license on this table was that these were driver's licenses that the workers were running out to the car, getting this, okay, and then stacking them up. So in other words, their excuse is they were going out down the line and grabbing 30 or 40 driver's license from people in line. That doesn't happen. That's not what, I mean, let's be real. That's not what they were doing. But that's the excuse that the Precinct 1 Constable's Office accepted.
I'm coming, Chuck. I'm trying to find something for us real quick, which is a lie. So if they were running and doing that, how did you end up with a stack of IDs on the table? Mm-hmm. That's what I don't understand. How did you end up with a stack of IDs on the table?
The normal process is, or the abnormal, because it's weird that they're doing it anyway. Drive-through voting, like Taco Bell. They're supposed to go out there, get the ID, come in and scan it, take it back to them, all in one motion. Not stack all these driver's licenses up.
But remember, you're not going to have a stack of IDs. That's just not going to happen. So the thing is when I went over there complaining, they called the police on me. Mm-hmm. And I cussed the police out, and it was what it was. But one officer was real nice, and that calmed me down. And I went across the street with my bullhorn, and they didn't like that I was outing them. And you know the sad part is you're doing all that, and I want you people to clearly understand that that's violating the law doing this stuff. You getting paid crumbs to put your freedom in jeopardy. You getting paid $100, $200, $1,000, $1,200. You see what I'm saying? To put your freedom in jeopardy. And the whole time you tearing up our community to accomplish your goal. To accomplish your goal. But they want people to believe that this is not happening. And it's not true. Nobody was going to investigate that because Evelyn worked a lot of them campaigns. They wasn't going to investigate that because everybody's tied to everybody. Everybody's money is tied to everybody. And at the end of the day, all these criminals look the same to me. They all look the same to me. So I tell you what, Chuck, we ain't going to give them too much. I think we need to get ready for Wednesday night because we're going to do this during the week, y'all. We're going to break this stuff down during the week. And I tell you what, Wednesday night, man, let's look at some of these lobbyists. Let's look at some of the people that supposedly go to Austin and lobby for the police union. Mm-hmm. And what's going to shock some people is the amount of money that they made when they're in our community saying that they don't even mess with the police union. They don't like the police union. You know, like what they stand for. They need to get rid of them. But behind the scenes, you're taking 6 figures from them. You're taking 6 figures for them. So, Chuck, is there anything else we need to know about Evelyn before we leave?
That's the crux of it today. I mean, she's deep into it.
We got far more than that. But I will say this here in my closing statements, that if I was you, Mr. Politician, I'd stay clear of her because she's going to get busted. And by the way, you can get on any bus you want to get on. You can go anywhere you want to go. You can keep screaming Jim Crow 2.0 about SB 7, but it's eventually going to pass. And when it passes, you will not have the protection of the law anymore to run your voter schemes with. And then you too will have a criminal background when you go to jail. Now, Chuck, you know I'm running for school board. And I always say this here, and I think you can respect it. And you don't even have to have an opinion on it. Y'all better stay the hell out of my race. If I lose, it's just because I lost it. I can accept that. But if you get in my race and you think you're going to play your early ballot game, your mail-in ballot game, I'm going to bust you. Chuck going to bust you. He going to bust you. So, Miss Guidry, if you plan on running, I just leveled the playing field. And Mr. Politician, Kingmakers, stay out of my race. I'd hate to have to come and visit you and put some money on your books. But if you think we playing, we not. We not playing at all. All we want is fair elections. White, black, Latino, indifferent, Republican or Democrat, don't matter to us. But these elections are going to start being fair, and that's what it's going to be. You feel what I'm saying? And if you don't like it, who cares? Give them your closing statements, Chuck.
Well, mainly I want to say we've got to do something about this corruption. It's not a Democrat thing. It's not a Republican thing. It's just a pure animalistic cheating that's going on. In other words, money rules the day. And they're not helping people out. If you can cheat to stay in office, you don't care what happens to your district. And that's how I'll close it.
Well, I tell you this. There's a little place called Fort Bend County where elections are decided by small numbers of votes. We coming to see you. We coming to see you. And Chuck ain't saying it. Kingmaker, Cynthia Ginyard, you better get a seatbelt because 5 Star ain't finna play with you. Because you ain't no better than your big brother and sister over in Harris County. And that's the way I feel. And that's the way it's going to be. I want to thank y'all for taking the time out. Remember, Dirty Politrikz is moving to Wednesday nights. And we're going to unload from now until the election is over. I want to thank you on behalf of my good friend, Chuck Mahler. I'm the 5-Star General. Until Wednesday, we'll talk to you.
Thank you.